time dilation and cosmic sperm at UFO landing sites in Russia. This is a crazy story. Get in here. This is Jack with the Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been following the podcast Weaponized with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp since it aired not long ago, a few months ago. And I love it. There's been some real bombshells that have been released through Weaponized. For example, the Mosul Orb. And sometimes we get these stories from George Knapp where he reveals startling information. Like the director of the Area 51 talked about having beings there, non-human beings at Area 51. So, and then he was forced to recant this story by the Men in Black years later, who forced him to change his story to say that the occupants of the UFOs that were retrieved were in fact the victims of Germans in World War II. So, some really great stuff has come out of Weaponized. I love it. Lately, they have been talking about George's adventures in Russia. And he was able to interview a bunch of Russian scientists and others who were working on the UFO issue there. And some great information has come to light. For example, them shooting at UFOs, and I'll have more to say about that in a separate video. But in this video, I would like to talk about a couple of different highlights from the most recent episode. The first is where we learn about time dilation around UFO landing sites.
The interview that we did with him in 1993 was the first one he'd ever done with Western journalists or Eastern journalists as well.
So this scientist literally was sent to jail because of the way he was openly speaking about his scientific studies of UFOs, which was for the government?
Initially, it was for the government, and then somehow he fell into disfavor, and they put him in prison for it, his research. One of his colleagues was a guy named Dr. Rem Varlamov, who was teaching at a prestigious Moscow Institute of Technology. He would also go along with Siegel out to these landing site trace cases and collect samples. He did some really interesting analysis that he shared with us. He said, "We conducted an experiment to see if the energy generated by the UFO could affect time. We synchronized two quartz timepieces, attached the opposite ends of a metal rod, placed one of the timepieces inside the UFO landing circle, and one was left outside, and inside the circle, time speeded up. We repeated the results with mechanical timepieces." So the willingness to study these alleged landing sites is a pretty obvious example of the courage that some of these scientists had. And he said there was a time distortion effect at these landing sites. There was another guy who
Hold on. Holy shit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so what? Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. So they had these landing trace cases, which we know people have studied, but they actually found a temporal distortion between inside of that landing. This was done by the scientists for the government.
Right.
Inside, time sped up. So something about the propulsion system, if it's gravitational, had a residual effect.
Yeah, there was residual energy that distorted time that was left there at that site.
Isn't that wild? How does that make any sense? The UFO is gone, but they're still having an effect on the ground, manipulating time. Some sort of residual effect from the UFO still lingers. I would love to know how long that lasts. If there were studies done on that, if that's in the report somewhere, I hope that George Knapp releases that, because that seems like a really interesting and possibly useful information to know. If you see a UFO land, how long do you wait before you approach it, before, the being affected by this time dilation? And we have seen time effects from actual landed UFOs multiple occasions. One of the most famous is the Rendlesham Forest incident in the UK. And, go research that incident, but there's a very well corroborated time effect there with multiple servicemen involved, and one of them kind of disappeared seemingly from the point of view of the people that were further away from the UFO, but he had actually simply entered a different time stream. So, so that's a thing that takes place around actual UFOs. But the idea that that could linger after the craft has gone is a new one on me. So I'm really thankful for George for releasing this information. That's a bombshell. And it makes me think about a story I covered yesterday where it looks like the boys at Area 51 have been tinkering with temporal technology. And, there was some information that came out of there that suggested that we were working with technology that could go faster than the speed of light and also manipulate time, which of course makes sense that those technologies would go together. When you warp space and time, you're warping both, right? So any technology that would get us from here to the distant stars would also possibly be capable of manipulating time. Maybe that's a gravity effect, who knows? But it's a fascinating situation where the U.S. government might be in possession of time travel technology, as well, of course, as faster than the speed of light technology that we have apparently either reverse engineered from UFOs, which I kind of doubt. I doubt that our reverse engineers are that good, that they can develop faster than the speed of light technology, even from studying existing faster than the speed of light technology. To me, that indicates more of a relationship with the phenomenon and the beings and them helping us, giving us certain technology. What are we doing with that technology is a great question. All right, but let's move on to the second item for today, because in this video, I'm just giving a couple of highlights from the Weaponized podcast. And this is the cosmic sperm. Okay, it sounds a little more tabloidy than it actually is, but here goes that story.
Yeah, the other interesting thing that he found is at two different sites. So one was a case right outside of Moscow. A UFO had landed. He goes to do his thing looking for single cell organisms in the soil, and he found something else. These perfectly opaque little spheres in the soil. He found them there at that site. He found them again at a UFO landing site in Kazakhstan, which is, hundreds, thousands of miles away, different part of what used to be the USSR, and the same kind of little spheres. And he called them cosmic sperm. And he had them in a little petri dish there, and he gave me some of them. He gave me like half the world's known supply of cosmic sperm and said, take them back. He had the theory that they would sprout, that they were some kind of biological agent, that they might sprout into either a being or animal or plant or something like that. Gave them to me, said, take them back to the U.S., do some tests on them, let me know what you find out. So I did. I took half the world's cosmic sperm back to the U.S.
And did you plant some in your home garden next to your tomatoes?
I dropped them on my kitchen floor, and I had to get down there and pick them all up. And then I gave some to a physicist who looked at them under an electron microscope. Pretty interesting. Perfectly symmetrical. But he said, look, these things were not biological. They were manufactured. There had some high heat instrument had been used to make them. And he didn't know what the purpose was or why you would find them at UFO landing sites in two such remotely distant places. But there you were. I sent them to a plant pathology lab at a Midwestern university. They concluded that it also was not biological. It was manufactured. Didn't know who would make it, what it was used for, but it remained a mystery. There's another part to that story where those objects, I gave them to the Atomic Testing Museum.
I remember that,
in Las Vegas.
And they put it on display to be like, these are artifacts from a spacecraft.
They call them alien artifacts, which, I don't know that they're alien artifacts. I never said they were alien artifacts. That's that they were mysterious, and the Russians didn't know what they were. They put them on display there, and they were on display in this Area 51 exhibit for a couple of years. I had given them all kinds of stuff, loaned all kinds of books and trinkets and memorabilia, as well as some material that I got from a UFO crash site in Dalnagorsk that we'll talk about in a minute. And I got all that back except for the little spheres. I said, hey, where's the spheres? Yeah, we don't know. So it's been 4 or 5 years now. They still haven't returned them to me. And all my inquiries to get them back have been unsuccessful. Nobody knows what happened to them.
The Atomic Testing Museum straight up stole the world's supply of cosmic sperm from you?
Yeah, somebody there took it. I got all the other stuff back except for that.
So there you go. There's these little round metallic spheres at these UFO landing places, landing sites. and we don't know what their function was or, how they were made. They're clearly artificial. Were they deposited there by the beings intentionally? Because that does seem to be a thing where they gift us stuff. A lot of times UFOs will just drop material. I don't know if that's a gift or if they're just jettisoning junk. I suspect they're probably just jettisoning junk. Are these metallic spheres junk, or are they one of the gifts? I don't know, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, what do you think happened to these spheres? They seem to have vanished. He sent them to that place and never returned them. Were they taken by the men in black for further study? Did they vanish like the giant skeleton in the Smithsonian in the early 1900s? What happened to these metallic spheres? Because, if they are alien artifacts that were at one point in the public purview, actually on display at a museum, and then they vanish, that's a little suspicious there. So let me know what you think happened to those things. What were they? Why were they only located in these landing sites in Russia? Because I don't remember ever hearing about these spheres before, these cosmic sperm. What is up with that? There are transitory phenomena associated with UFOs in various eras. Like a few decades ago, in many landing cases in the U.S., they would have this white wispy foam-like substance, this like spiderwebby material that was a thing. And there's video of it and pictures of it, and it vanished with the sunlight. It didn't linger very long. So, but these metallic spheres, I don't think vanished in the sunlight. Maybe that's what happened to them in the museum. I don't think so. But anyway, but there are these transitory phenomena that only occur at certain times in certain places, in certain eras. Is that the sign of an evolving technology on the part of the ETs, or is that a sign of races that come to visit but don't stay? I don't know, guys, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would sure appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. Watch some of my other videos. Join me on social media. Links are below. See you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out.